All right, boys, what's happening?
Good evening.
All good, buddy.
A lot more happier than last week.
Well, I was just about to say there's two types of podcasts I love. One, when Hearts shit the bed and we've got to be furious, raging, and angry. And the other is when we've made a total and utter arse of ourselves and we get to reflect over the calls and pretend that we didn't make an arse of ourselves. And that is definitely one of these ones tonight. So, looking forward to it. What's been happening, Kev?
Not a great deal, mate. Not a great deal. Just had a good day out yesterday. That for once on an away day, Hearts did not ruin my day. So not all good, mate.
And at least you got in the stadium quicker than I did.
I don't know about that, mate. I was late in getting there, that's for sure.
Thank God for VAR. That's all I would say. That's all I'll say this week. Tam, what's been happening?
Not much, mate. Not much. I've been working all weekend, so fortunately just watched it at home.
No, I asked, but it's fine.
All right. Well,
no one cares.
Fuck yourself.
We've all got jobs, Tam. No one cares. Like, we all work jobs. It's fine. Ando, what's been happening?
You're a bastard, man.
The usual, man. Sending out abuse to anybody that will listen on any of my connected group chats and drinking heavily. It's just the lifestyle of a rock star.
Fantastic. Right. Thanks to everybody for joining us as well on YouTube. We will try and answer as many questions as we can. We'll go through them. We've got some interaction stuff to talk about from last week where we did the sort of the new season predictions, how we think everything will go. We'll get Kev's predictions this week since he missed last week. Go through some of the headlines of the week. Some new players in the door. All things seeming a little bit more rosy now. We know who we're playing in Europe. We know who we're playing in the Cup. So we'll dive over that. We'll talk about yesterday's opening day victory in Perth. I can't remember the last time we ever got beat in Perth. Feels like ages, man. We must have. What a record we have in Perth, man. Actual boring going up there knowing that you're going to win. We'll talk about the game, all the positives, and then we'll talk about the week. Big week for Hearts, as accustomed when you're at a big football club. All the games matter, but this week even more so. I believe Rosenborg today get beat again, but let's talk about that because we know that feels very similar to Zurich last year. And then we'll obviously preview Kelly, which is the next league game on Sunday. Sound good?
Sure does.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are we just deleting last week's podcast then?
Oh no, we'll keep it there. It's fine. We'll keep it there. It's always good for self-reflection, isn't it? It's always good to go back and just make sure you're all right.
You know what I love, right, is that like in Corbett, to give everyone a peek behind the curtain, right? So sometimes we'll say in advance we're not going to talk about this and we're not going to talk about that, or we've learned from last week because you know what, someone will turn us into a total meme, right? Has anyone ever turned us into a meme for something shit or dickish that we've said? Because tell you what, as soon as that happens, that's it. I'm going to retire from this. As soon as I've had a meme made of myself, say making a
I'm upset that there isn't one of those Twitter pages that's like out of context Corbett or something. I'm upset that's not happened.
Yeah, I'm happy to add to my list of responsibilities to do that as well if you want.
No, we want it.
And my hair is
well,
fine,
Tam.
and I score belters all the time, and no one's done it. So let's sidestep that though, right?
Fair.
Right. First and foremost, let's do Tam down. Ando, I believe you've got a Tam down.
Sure do. Right, so hands on the heads, or at least where I can see them. Right, so not lost in anyone. The first competitive league game of the season was yesterday, and a good resounding victory for the Hearts. This one is framed around exactly the same thing. So what I am doing is I want the list of 13 different players who have scored a goal on the opening league game of the season for the last 6 seasons. So this does include obviously a championship season. There are 13 unique players that have scored in the first game of the league season for the last 6 years. And in no particular order, we're going to Corbett first. Doesn't include yesterday, by the way. It's starting from last season.
That's the only ones I can fucking remember, man. Jesus Christ.
Okay, well, I'm going to go Peter Haring.
Peter Haring is not on my list.
Or is that too far
That's
away?
too far. Well, I'm going back to 2017-18 season. First game of the season, Peter Haring has not scored in the opening game.
I'm already going Stewart's inquiry.
Okay.
I'm sure the comments will help you out.
I'm sure we played Hamilton that season, opening game of the season, did we not? Away to Hamilton? Or was that the season prior?
Let me check. Instead of getting bogged down with this, when I inevitably
Instead of like worrying about who killed who.
What season are we talking, sorry?
I don't know, one of the ones that Craig Levine was in charge.
His first season. It would have been Haring's first season, wouldn't it? Hamilton game.
Aye. Sure he scored 2. Was it 4-2 to Hearts or something? No, 4-1.
Could it have been the first home game of the season?
No.
And that was the first game of the season.
If I go,
the comments are backing you up here.
They are not.
I'm pretty sure that we were away to Hamilton and he scored.
What season? If I've made an arse of this already, and then I'm going to be raging, right? Because first game of the league season,
18-19. Scott Lister has helped.
Oh motherfucking! I've made an arse of this. Aha! Oh, I know what I've done. Okay, yeah, Corbett, you're correct. Peter Haring. What a guess. You've done well there, Sam.
Thanks, mate.
Right.
Do you need to amend your list in any way, shape, or form?
Yes, I kind of do a little bit. I have to add. Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Usually me that messes up. I'm so glad to see this.
Yeah, that's just unlikely. So instead of being a list of 13, there's a list of 15. Corbett's got one of them, so well done, Corbett. Correct, Peter Haring. Right.
Who's next?
Tam is next.
John Suter.
Having read the YouTube comments.
I'm going to show you my screen because I actually took YouTube off because I'm like, I better take that off because I'm doing a cheat.
After you've remembered as many as you could.
John, no, there wasn't any answers at that point. But John Suter is one.
John Suter is correct. Right, okay. Kev.
Gary Mackay-Stephen.
Gary Mackay.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that.
Because he's just that much ahead.
Does that count? Was that an own goal, or did he actually score that?
No, he actually scored. It was a 2-1 against Celtic. Yep. Yep, that one's allowed. Carry on. Corbett, you're next.
Did Jamie Walker score?
Yes, he did. In a 3-2 defeat to Aberdeen in the 2019-20 season. Tam, you're next.
Try mind. Last season. But I'm going to go for Liam Boyce.
Yeah, absolutely correct. And can you tell me what season it was and what the result was?
I think it was Championship season, wasn't it?
It was. It was a 6-2 victory against Dundee.
That was the one.
Yep. See what I'm doing here?
I didn't do that because
I just remembered there were 6 goals.
You're just reminding me of people that
I've just tried to make it a bit more snappy because, well, let's be honest, I made a coos titty at the start. So, right. Kev, I believe you're next.
Barry Mackay.
Barry Mackay is right. He scored last season. Corbett.
So my Jamie Walker one, I thought was, I'm sure we played Celtic in Brendan Rodgers' first league game of the season. I'm sure that was at Tynecastle, wasn't it? They beat us 2-1. Scott Sinclair scored. Tony Watt missed an absolute sitter. Or was that the second game of the season?
It might have to be the second game of the season because actually, you know what? I say this with absolutely no confidence in anything at all anymore. What season did Brendan Rodgers start?
But that would have been, you have 2 seasons at Ange, 2 seasons on Lennon, and you said since 2017, wasn't it? So he was before.
No, there wasn't 2 seasons of Lennon, was there?
Anyway, I'll go Stephen Kingsley. Anyway, I'll go Stephen Kingsley.
Yes, Stephen Kingsley is correct. 2021. Right. Who's next? I can't even remember.
Thomas.
Thomas.
Josh Ginnelly.
Yep. Well done.
And that's purely because you gave me the result on that Dundee game.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'll have to help you out wherever I can. Right, there's a couple of players left. Over to you, Kev.
Mikey Smith.
Mikey Smith, also correct. There are 4 players left. Over to you, Corbett.
Andy Halliday.
Correct. Over to you, Tam.
I'm chapping now. Like, can't mind the first game of last season. How is that? But I'll just say Shankland.
No, not on the list. Kev.
James Forrest.
Nope, doesn't play for Hearts. He doesn't get any points. Move on. Take Alan Forrest.
Yeah. Correct. Well done.
What was it about no memes about this fucking podcast?
Hey, Tam, there's 2 left.
Oh, is Kev not getting? Is Kev not getting James Forrest?
No, is he fuck? No.
Up you, Kev.
Nothing new.
Quickly look at YouTube.
No, it's
The eyes went. The eyes went.
He's
He's on his phone. He's on his phone.
I'm actually chapping. I don't even know an answer, so you're all putting too much pressure on me. Cochrane.
No. What? Alex? Harry? Right?
Yes.
No, forget about him.
I need the first name.
It's neither, clearly.
Yes,
anyway,
yes,
so
none of
that's
them.
You got it wrong.
Right, sorry, Kev, over to you.
The only one I can think of is Naismith, and I think he scored in that Aberdeen game.
Is this the one that I made an arse of?
Well, that was the one that.
Yeah,
The
like
technical director.
yeah, the technical
He
director.
did score against
Yeah,
Aberdeen.
he did. He scored in the same game that Corbett called me out on. So yes, you can get that one.
So he scored at Hamilton, didn't he? And did he not score in the Aberdeen free tour?
Correct.
Okay.
How many
Right,
more
so
to
who
get?
scored there? Did Jamie Walker score twice in that game, and then Naismith got the other?
Wait a minute, I'll check. Wait a minute, for the Hamilton Accies game that I thought was the first game of the season, which is not. Naismith scored a hat trick and Ollie Lee got the other one, but it's the 4th game of the season in 18-19. But in 19-20, Stevie Naismith and Jamie Walker, both of whom have been said, have both done
Against Aberdeen.
Yeah.
Aye. Right, so we're looking for the other goal scorers in the Hamilton game, or do we still have a goal scorer for the 6-2 v Dundee?
We still have one game in the Hamilton game, and we have one from the 17-18 season, where it was a consolation effort scored in a 4-1 loss to Celtic. If that helps anyone.
A 4-1 loss to Celtic.
17-18.
I've 100% blocked that.
Oh, thing we scored. Ismac and Galvez.
Ismac and Galvez is correct, Kevin. Well done. And the final one is this fastest finger first here. This is from the 18-19 season. Hamilton Accies 4-1 victory.
Was it better?
No, it wasn't.
Peter Haring scored
Twice.
Mikey Smith scored. Peter Haring scored twice.
Naismith with a penalty, and then someone else on 62 minutes.
Was Anich?
It's not, no.
Stephen McLean.
Correct.
Oh, was
Stephen
it?
McLean. Stephen McLean. So, scores on the doors after that absolute shit show clusterfuck are Kev on 6, Corbett on 5, and Tam on 3. And I can't help feeling that could have been better from so many angles. So, yeah, apologies if you had to listen to that. But I'll say I'll try and get better for next week. But realistically,
I like when we do these
Same
because it
thing will
reminds
happen.
me of why I hated Craig Levine. Not that I need much nudging in the hangout, but I like when you remind us that the striker that scored on that day we signed and our manager laughed and knew that his knees were shot and he couldn't play a full season and he was 36. It was brilliant.
Plastic.
I loved when he told us that. It was superb.
Brilliant.
Back to the good old days.
There we go.
Cool. Tam, anything early? YouTube? Any questions?
Apart
Anything
from me
that we
making
need
a
to
Ricky
discuss?
Hunt of it.
Liam L asking if Kenneth Vargas has had his medical today, but
Well, he's definitely. I know he's in Edinburgh.
Yep.
I know that much.
The photograph looks like it's taken from the Oriole that he's put out on his Instagram page.
Stalking him early. Now that Shanks is no longer here, you're on the Instagram creeping. Is that what you've done?
No, it was shared in the group chat earlier on. Sorry to disappoint you.
shared by Kev.
No. Shared by Kev. Aye. That's where I was going. That's where I was going next. Well, the sooner he signs, the better, because we have about 400 chance for Kenny Vargas. He has to be the greatest player we've ever signed, just by the sheer number and volume of songs that he now has. Anybody from that side of the world is instantly the best player that's ever played for Hearts. So I am absolutely buzzing. The George Street rat scalper Mark II. I can't wait for him to touchdown.
Have you seen his neck tattoo? Quite intrigued to what it says. I've not worked it out yet. It's probably in Spanish, but
can I bring everyone back down to earth?
I'll be honest with you, Tam, just quickly. Kenny Vargas could join this podcast and I wouldn't have a single clue what he looked like. I don't know who he is. I just know that he's the greatest player that's ever played for Hearts. Like I couldn't pick him up in a lineup.
Right.
But
I'm gonna have to temper this nonsense. And Kev and I were chatting in the green room pre-show. I've said it.
Oh my god! Just end this podcast.
We may as well. Is that remember the last time we had an international not from this country that had the first name Kenny? It was Kenny Anderson, and he was dog meat.
He was 100% not an international, sure.
Yeah, no, but he was registered for Netherlands, wasn't he? So that does.
Oh, you mean an international sign?
Yes,
sorry,
it does.
Apologies.
It does count. So I don't know.
So the only way is up is what I just heard.
That's
it
true.
It can only get better.
Very
It
true.
can only get better.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, hopefully it's announced pretty soon, and it ties us into what we're going to talk first in our headlines. Since the last time we podcast, we've seen Tagawa join in a 3-year deal, I believe.
I thought you were going to. I forgot you were going to sing the song first before you done it there.
No, not yet. I'll take that. It's either the greatest thing I've ever done for this football club or the single worst thing I've ever done for this football club. I've yet to decide what side of the fence I sit on for suggesting. Here, by the way, Tagawa fits in the tequila song. And now we're going to have it all stuck in our heads for the rest of our lives. I have. I'm sorry, Ando. I'm sorry. Alex Lowry joins from Rangers on a season-long loan. The other chat is obviously Vargas in town, but from what I've been told, there is a right back pretty much on their way from the EPL. So I'm assuming it's going to be a youth player from one of the teams down south or wherever. Any thoughts on any of the players that have come in? Obviously, we'll talk about the players that made their competitive debuts yesterday. Thoughts, Kev? You were there in the flesh, seen it yourself. What was your thoughts on it?
I think with Tagawa coming on and Lowry, I think they changed the way the game went yesterday, and I know we'll talk about the actual game later on. But they were a lot more positive, which I think was a really good thing. Especially Lowry, he wants to go forward with the ball, not scared to take folk on, and Tagawa looks like he was also the shot that he had. I didn't have a problem with it. He took it early, and it was nice to see somebody actually taking a shot rather than try to walk it into the back of the net.
Aye, that was true. My dad made a good point yesterday on the bus on the way back down, just to temper everybody's. And if you wonder where I get it from, this is where it comes, just to take everybody from cloud 9 down a notch. Someone on the bus said that Lowry and Tagawa were absolutely superb considering they hadn't trained. And my dad made a very good point saying that it's probably because they haven't trained and we've not stuck to life with them as to why they've been so good. Give them a couple of weeks at the Orium and they'll be back to playing like James Forrest.
Well done, Bill.
Come on, Kev, I set you up and everything.
I was waiting for it.
I know. I wasn't biting. I'm not biting.
I love Bill.
Fine.
Sir Bill. We'll call him from now on. Right.
And it's funny, he's the most happy clapper, packed lunchbox signature chaser you'll ever meet. I think I have to be the yin to his yang because he's ridiculous. He's always just stay, we'll score and we'll get back into this game. It's 4-0 Celtic after 27 minutes. We're not winning this game 5-4. But Kev, I agree. I thought Lowry, we're going to have, I'm not going to say Barry Mackay, right? But I think we're going to have peaks and troughs. He's a young boy that's never played first team football. He clearly has bags and bags of potential. You know, he looked so positive when he got the ball. His pass into Atkinson, as simple as it looked, and it created up Boyce's chance, I think.
Yep.
But even just to make that pass all game, Devlin and Haring, etc., and the new Aussie guy, we just never made that pass. And it was just a simple pass, and it got us forward. And it was those wee bits all the time you get the ball, he just looked really positive, looked to go, take his man on, look to try and make something happen. You're going to have games where it's not going to work for him. So we're going to get peaks and troughs from him. But I was massively impressed with Tagawa. I thought he looked unbelievable, considering we'll talk about St Johnstone in the game, but you know, they were kicking us, pulling us, all the stuff you expect from a side that are going to probably struggle bottom of the league this season. They played to all of the sort of dirty side of the game that they could. They wanted free kicks, they wanted throw-ins, they wanted to rough us up. McGowan kept flying into tackles every time he had the opportunity to. I thought Tagawa just got stuck in. He won almost every header he went up for. His runs were brilliant. He looked so intelligent. He's rapid, strong. Even down at the other end of the park, I think he won the ball back and shepherded it out for a goal kick to us. Jose Concalves-esque. He was shepherded the ball for about 45 yards. I was well impressed with the both of them. I think Tagawa could be unbelievable for us. What a save for their keeper, Kev.
You've got to give the keeper the credit for it. In my opinion, it's not, to me, that's not one of these ones that you put down as a miss. That's all credit to the keeper for pulling off a really good save, and the keeper actually kept them. I know, all right, the goals were in the last few minutes of the game, last 15 minutes of the game, whatever it was. But I thought their keeper actually kept them in the game for a long period.
I agree. We'll talk about that a bit in the review of the game there. But yeah, I thought he took it dead early. Tagawa, which I thought was intelligent. I think the pitch was heavy, raining. They were happily bang into you or take you from behind. It's a Sunday night. Why did I go there? Why did I?
Don't know why Tam's licking his lips, but never mind.
Again. But it was a brilliant save for the keeper, so pretty happy. The club, from what I've been told, are absolutely buzzing with Vargas. Like, they think the guy's going to be just a sensational signing. He looks absolutely rapid. So it'll be interesting to see where we are. And I thought yesterday was a really, I don't know if it's a sliding doors moment, if that's the right thing to say, but the substitutions that we made, you know, Benny and Boyce coming on, and obviously the contribution that Boyce made as well to the game, with Tagawa and Lowry coming on as well for the players that they replaced. It felt a bit like two different Hearts, and we'll talk about that in the review, but we were like, whoa, we really like a real noticeable change in tempo, aggression, positive play, etc., and if Vargas can come in and make a difference, if we can get a right back in to keep the pressure on Atkinson, who I think has been one of the standout performers since Naismith came in, brilliant. Obviously it's early days, it's one game into the season, but yeah, I thought the new signings were brilliant. Any chatter on YouTube about the new signings or that, Tim?
Matthew Harold saying Tagawa has to start on Thursday, which, to be honest, I would agree with.
Yep.
I'm all there. Other than that, it's kind of just, it's a good point. Since I brought up Thursday, I might as well add it. But Ben Odlin has asked, what's the script with Thursday as the game on TV? But I don't think it's actually been announced yet.
No, it's not. It's on the radio.
They've picked it up yet.
Are they picking the Hibs games like?
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, our kicks off 6 o'clock and theirs is 7:30, isn't it?
Yeah. So I was listening to Sports Scene earlier on the wireless, just to see how the Hibs got on, and they were advertising the Hibs game.
How did they get on? Ando?
Well, I don't know if you know, mate, but they made an absolute Ricky Hunt of it and got beat 3-2. It's
great.
it's lovely. But yeah, the Hibs game is on the telly, and they were only advertising radio coverage from the BBC anyway. On the Thursday, so I don't know if it remains to be seen whether TNT Sports might pick it up or maybe whatever the other one is. Can't remember what
Might even just be a pay-per-view.
Premier Sports, maybe. Yeah, might be. I don't know. Wait and see.
Well, we could maybe, depending if we get some coverage, we could potentially do another watch along like we did last season. We'll keep everybody posted on social media
for that.
For the folk that aren't heading out to Norway. Coming on to Europe then, since we're there, Rosenborg it is. Barely scraped past Crusaders in the last round. Today, their league form doesn't look great. Be thinking.
I'm going to call you out, by the way. I think they actually won the day.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Well, they were getting beat the last time. They were getting beat the last time I looked.
89th minute. Equal winner, sorry, but aye.
Right, okay. Well, Kev, we're in a similar boat to where we were with Zurich last year, just being the tie at Tynecastle. Is that what we're looking for?
I think so. I think that's going to be the way ahead for such a for this game anyway. Is if you can go over there and get a draw. I mean, if you sneak a victory, even better. But it's all about making sure that there is something to play for when you bring it back to Tynecastle the following week, which will be the 17th.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yep, that's right. Tam, you got any thoughts on it? You apprehensive, confident?
I'm actually surprisingly confident, which I should not be because it's a Scottish team in Europe, early qualifiers. But I don't think Rosenborg are the team they used to be. I think as you said, the home tie is the second round. That should be the game. Try and keep it tight. But we're going to come up against one of the big hitters if we do go through. So I would just like to see us put in a better performance than we did last year in any of the sort of European games.
Aye, and are we at a stage where, although it was only maybe for 40, 35 minutes on Saturday, where actually we should have a bit of swagger going over there and maybe go and try and be a bit more positive than just try and stay in the tie, like maybe even go over and put a marker down early.
Yeah, 100%. I think what you said just when you were touching on the St Johnstone game from just your spiel earlier on about the new signings. I don't know if you paid attention to those two new signings that we had on Saturday, Liam Boyce and Benny Beningame, right? With those two back, like fucking hell, man, like again, don't want to we keep the powder dry until fucking we do the review or whatever. But I think going over there with, I suppose, the firepower and the skill that we've got in all the critical positions, we should be going over there with a bit of a swagger and just dick pinging them out the way. Simple as that.
Well, I don't think Benny or Boyce will start on Thursday.
Probably not.
I think they'll be drip fed back into the team, given how important they are to the side and given the impact that they made on Saturday. I think they'll try and make sure that the guys come back and are ready to go, if you know what I mean, rather than just chuck them in and see where they are. And I think that the new guy in the midfield, the Aussie boy, he's got to get up to speed quicker. I don't think he's a bad player, but he needs to get quicker. He needs to get up into speed and potentially find his actual role, because I don't know if he's playing the role that he actually naturally would play. But again, the pressure having Benny there behind him, knowing that there's someone on the bench that potentially is going to come and take your place, can only be good for the rest of the squad. And I think I'm going to stay in the halfway house and say that, yeah, I'm a wee bit more confident than I was last week. Rosenborg though, and it's European football. But we couldn't get a kick of the ball against Leeds last week. They've drew the day at home with Cardiff, who look terrible. So let's see let's make sure that come the return leg at Tynecastle, there's something to play for. We can get Tynecastle bouncing, and hopefully we repeat the performance that we had against Zurich for the first 60 minutes and see where it takes us. And again, you win those games, you go into the next round. I think the confidence goes up in the squad, confidence goes up in the team. You can back that up with maybe a win in the league against Kilmarnock, and then you never know. You never know for the next round as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think we've got the players to make an impact. I thought Shankland looked way more engaged yesterday than he has most of the pre-season as well, which was a good thing to see. So that's where we're at. Ando.
Just one thing on the European thing is that we, like, Rosenborg, as much as they might have tailed off in recent years, or not as good as what they were. Totally get that. However, they are seasoned campaigners. They're in the competition pretty much every year at this stage, and they know how to play European football. One of the things that was glaringly obvious for us last year was not knowing how to play European football. And I don't mean just how to set up tactics or anything like that. It was more the dirty side of the game. The whole, when someone comes into you, like falling down like a ton of bricks and buying a foul from the ref. They know how to do that. We need to make sure that we're on point when it comes to this. We can't just go in and play the Scottish football way of playing and on a European stage, because it won't work. We always get caught out, and most Scottish teams get caught out with this shit. So hopefully that's being looked at.
You've also got to.
Aye, that was. Yeah, okay. It was just the naivety last year was in Europe was playing for everybody to see. It cost us. We conceded the same goal every game. So what are you going to say, Kev?
I was going to say, you've also got to remember that Rosenborg, they've played 20 games already this season. That's another little, it's a little bit of an advantage. I mean, I've been an advocate for playing our season at the same time as those Scandinavian leagues, if I'm being truthfully honest. I think we would also generate more money into the Scottish game if we did that. But, all in all, you've got to take into consideration 20 games. They've had their guys in. They've been training with each other, day in, day out, all that kind of stuff will have a little bit of an impact. Whereas
they got more injuries and they're knackered. So there you go.
Well, that's an interesting way actually thought we'll talk about St Johnstone in a wee minute, but I thought it's a good point because yesterday, even though St Johnstone started the season pretty poor, they were sharper than us in the stages of the game yesterday. And again, I don't think it was because they're fitter than us or anything like that. They've been more competitive games than us. They've got that back into the sort of the swing of competitive football, whereas we've no kicked the ball in anger until yesterday, and it took us a bit of fumbling in the dark to get going, if you know what I mean. So, because yesterday, as positive as was, and we won, it wasn't without its dangers and its flaws. So, we'll be 90 minutes wiser than we were kick-off on Saturday. So, hopefully we can go on and do the business, but summer football and that discussion can be for a different podcast, Kev. We can talk about that. Common sense and the SFA, they don't go hand in hand.
Very
so
true.
Let's leave that for a different podcast. Right, let's jump in. That's pretty much all the headlines for this week. Anything else catch your eyes in the world of Hearts this week?
Yeah, no, really.
Try to think.
New jersey, the 150 selling out after 5 minutes of being on sale. But
we spoke about that last week.
I can't remember if we did or not. But
it's absolutely beautiful.
What I would like to mention, not related to the game, but how good is it to see so many attacking options that we now have?
Aye. Well,
got McKay still come back in, but
it's good. But the thing that really pleased me yesterday the most was our ability to defend the box. Other than the opportunity for them in the first half where we've lapsed a bit, and a couple of sloppy moments here or there, but on the whole, considering that their whole game plan was to overload the box, long throws, try and win knockdowns, etc. I thought Hearts defended pretty well yesterday. I really liked the look of Kent. I thought Rouse had a better game than he's had. He'll have to slowly build his confidence up, but Kent just looks solid, proper solid. So it's pretty good. One thing actually before we do move on, because obviously they got in contact with us, Tam, the Andrew McKinnon Foundation. Do you want to talk about what they asked us to Did they?
It was just to highlight, obviously, they've got running a competition to win 2 mascot places for the cup game. If you go into their social media, they've got ways you can enter in terms of raffling it off, basically. So if you want to buy a ticket, go to the Andrew Buchanan Foundation, which is Twitter's Forever15AMF. And I'm sure you can search it on Facebook and the likes as well. So get over there and get some donations into those guys as well.
Aye,
In
and
memory of Andrew as well.
Aye, obviously Andrew tragically lost his life last year, the young 15-year-old wee laddie playing football. You never like to see it, so anything that we can do as a podcast or use as our listeners, please do whatever you can, because he's got a great family. I've had the pleasure of getting to meet his dad over the... I wish it was in better circumstances, but it's been great to meet his dad and his pals over the last like 4 or 5 months since it's happened. So yeah, whatever we can do, make sure we get behind it.
Yep.
Right. Cool. Let's talk about St Johnstone. An opening day victory for the famous, Kev. How were you feeling on the way up to Perth when you were sitting in the traffic?
Oh no, I was
chucking rain.
I was on a train, mate. I was on the train on the way up.
Oh, we are. Yeah.
We
A sensible
proper smug bastard, aren't you?
Aye, mate.
No, I think it's the first game of the season. You've always got a little bit of a rosy glow on you. You always feel that we'll do well.
You didn't listen to last week, then?
I don't. Because I can tell you, I would have
honest.
happily sat on the motorway in Perth for another 45 minutes when I read that Alan Forrest was playing.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is the fact that before the team was announced, I was fairly confident. I guess with, as you said earlier on there, the St Johnstone's performances so far this season in the League Cup have not been great. They got packed last week by Stirling, 4-0. So from that point of view, those are the kind of things that we're looking at, and that then always automatically puts your mind at a better point of we can't lose this. If Stirling are going there and winning 4-0, we should be going there and winning 6-0. So I was confident. Then I seen the team, and I probably had a little bit of a wobble, but I was still confident that we would definitely get something out of it. And the only thing I had, and we said it earlier on, was the fact that we started really slowly, a little bit lackluster, a little bit sort of pedestrianised at times, and that's something that hopefully with more games we will see. Hopefully, actually starting at 100 miles an hour and putting our foot in the first 15-20 minutes of every game, rather than taking 15-20 minutes to actually get into the game.
Aye, I think I joked there about Alan Forrest being in the team, and I actually wanted to talk about the reaction to him being subbed off yesterday. Like, I don't think Alan Forrest had an absolutely stinking game. Yeah, he didn't play well. Everybody you know, and everybody that's got me on a group chat or talks to me will know that I think Robbie Nielsen and Hearts sucked the absolute life out of Alan Forrest at the start of last season. He came in, he scored goals, had assists, and then was rotated in and out of the team and became bit part. Scored in Europe, scored against Motherwell. Like he playing well in that team, and then slowly we've turned him into what we've seen on yesterday, which is somebody with absolutely no confidence, playing in a position that's probably not his. Every touch is backwards. When you mirror it with Lowry, who every touch he tried to go forward, he tried to find a pocket, he tried to take his man on. Alan Forrest just tried to protect the ball, right? And that's, Kev, that's a tactic, right? That you don't. That's we've taught him to do that. We've taught him to do that. Like we've showed him to say, if you can't beat your man, then you lose the ball. Like they're the options that you have. Either beat your man or don't lose the ball. So when you've got no confidence, no movement, you're playing St Johnstone that are playing a low block. They're almost man for man. Every time he gets the ball, he just gave it backwards. He was looking for Kingsley. He was looking for Atkinson. He was looking for Haring. He was looking for Devlin. He was just looking to offload the ball rather than take it on the half turn, try and get to the byline. So, in a sense, I feel sorry for him. The good news for us is that there seems to be better quality there coming in behind him, which is great. That's not Alan Forrest's fault, right? But ironically cheering that he's getting taken off his shite part, isn't it, Giv?
I thought that was a bit I was a bit low, to be honest with you. I think that yesterday there was no need for it. And again, as you rightly say, I don't think he's lacking a little bit of confidence. I don't think we're playing him in the space that he wants to be played in, or what is his best position. I think there's a lot of that sort of aspect goes into it. But as you rightly say, the guy's just lacking in confidence, and you've got to do little things to just boost that confidence and get him back to where he needs to be. The concern then comes as other guys are then with more confidence are ahead of him in the pecking order.
Aye, but and then my thing would be like I'd like Alan Forrest to keep the heat, and hopefully, if you're motivated to get back into the team, then we'll see the best out of him. Like, do you know what I mean? If he has to sit on the bench and then come on and be impactful, then that's good for Hearts rather than starting and being asked to play a position that he doesn't want to. If you know what I mean? So I get that we were frustrated yesterday. I was frustrated. I didn't want to see Alan Forrest start, right? Because we not in that position anyway. We've not seen anything from him to say that he's a starter for Hearts. Obviously, I understand Tagawa, Lowry. They've only just came in. A couple of training sessions for Tagawa, nothing for Lowry. You can't ask them to come in the opening game of the season and then go play. But there's no need to treat our players like that. Like, I think it's just that doesn't help anybody. And takes me on to my next thing. Tam I was going to talk about was obviously Stephen Kingsley. I've been highly critical of Stephen Kingsley for a long time, purely because we know how good he could be. But I thought yesterday we'd seen glimpses of just how good a player Stephen Kingsley can be again.
Absolutely, I completely agree. I don't know, obviously he went off, he was missing the last few games of the season with some family stuff. Might be something down to that was previously affected his performances, but as you say, he's came back and he's put a question out there. I would always have said start Cochrane, but if he's going to continue playing like that better. That's good English. Yep. But if he's going to,
you for Uzbekistan, what are you talking like that for?
I've caught it from the chat. But what was I saying? When he's back in suspension.
You were telling everybody in the chat you were for Uzbekistan. We get it, Tam.
Okay. When Cochrane's back in suspension, hopefully it's a question to ask, and if Kingsley keeps his space.
Aye, I thought he was better yesterday. Ando, I think obviously it was a tale of two halves. I know that's a pure cliche to say, but Hearts weren't good in the first half. We weren't poor. It was a rubbish game. It was exactly the type of game that sides like St Johnstone and Livingston and Kilmarnock, they try to make it those types of games. They try to disrupt your rhythm. They're trying to make you play to their strengths, which is long balls in behind. Stevie May haunts my dreams yesterday when I know he scored against us, which is fantastic. But you obviously watching on the telly. What was your thoughts overall for the first half?
I don't want to use the word turgid, but it was slow. I think as I said this again pre-show to everybody else that was on, but it just seemed I expected us to be faster than how we actually got in about the game there. But again, it's day one, game one of the start of the season. It's just I don't know that I expected more get up and go or more bloodlust, and I just didn't see that. And that's not a criticism. It's like you're going up there Saturday afternoon. The weather is absolutely minging. It's a horrible, horrible ground. It's like no one really wants to be there. Never mind the stadium. So the supporters in the stadium. I think we didn't start fast enough for me for the first half. I thought we were very, very slow. But obviously the second half grew into the game a lot more, which I'm sure we'll cover in more detail shortly. But yeah, to answer your question, for the first half, it's just really, really slow, really, really pedestrian, almost a case of just everyone just trying to find their feet with a game. I think it took a little bit too longer than it should have. Too long than it maybe otherwise should have.
The good news, like we said, the positive is that they actually dealt with St Johnstone's aerial threat pretty well. Like I said before, I think I was really impressed with Kent last week, and I've only grown in admiration for Kent. I thought he was a standout yesterday. Winning headers, dealing with players like Stevie May, because you're not always going to come up against a target man that's going to win aerial challenges and sort of try and bash you, but you're always going to have that wee guy that's going to play on your shoulder, that's going to try and turn you, that's always going to try and get in behind. And I thought they dealt with him pretty well. Now, don't get me wrong, Stevie May is not a good football player, right? And that's why it boils my blood when he scores against us. But Hearts have constantly struggled to play against him. And I thought we did it well. I thought Kent was really good. So first half, Kev, it was the Shankland isolated, Oda not really getting the ball. Haring, when we play in that way, I don't think Peter Haring plays in that team. I don't think he has a role when we're playing that style of football, because you're asking for him to almost be the ball carrier. You're asking for Devlin to win it back. Devlin was Devlin. I thought he was all over the place. He was brilliant. I think it's everything that you expect from Cammy Devlin up until 20 yards from their goal, and then it's nosebleed territory, doesn't know what to do, can't shoot, etc., etc. And it's the same with Peter Haring. You can't play in that position. He needs attacking players in front of him. He win the ball back and give it to them type thing. And I think when we made the positive changes in the second half, I thought Peter Haring was brilliant. And then I thought he won the ball, got it to Lowry quickly, got it to the players that can do something with it. So it was pretty good. Should they have scored though in the first half? Was header, you think? Or
Haring?
Aye.
Definitely.
I think it looked like one of those ones that I think there's somebody coming in from the side, and I think that player coming in has just put him off enough to maybe not get the cleanest headers and contact on the ball itself. But from my point of view, from where I was in the whatever that stand's called, their sort of main stand, it did look like it was easier for him to score than miss. But I do think seeing it back on the TV, I think the guy just coming in just puts him off enough.
Aye. And don't get me wrong, we had some glimpses in the first half of what we're trying to do football-wise. The move to get Atkinson in, and he'd obviously dragged the shot wide, was pretty slick. It was pretty good. And we'd sort of got to decent areas of the park again, and things just break down from where they are. So first half was turgid. I think that's right. Whoever said that was bang on. I think 0-0 was probably the right scoreline. I don't know where Stephen McLean get the whole they should have been 2 goals up at half time. He's just clutching at straws with that, because other than is it Liam Gordon? Is that their player called? Mm-hmm. The one that we left in the left unmarked and left them unmarked in the 6-yard box. That was literally, I think, the only chance that they had in the first half. That was an actual proper chance. But second half, Kev, much better. We came out with some purpose. We zipped the ball around. We got guys like Oda into the game. We were getting Forrest into the game, Kingsley overlapping, Atkinson overlapping, and it was a different Hearts, wasn't it?
It was. It was like they'd been given a proper rocket at half time. Maybe sort of saying, what are we doing? We are, slow and pedestrian. We want to get overlaps done. They're, to an extent, were probably asking more questions of us than we were asking of them in the first half. But the second half, we've came out, we've had a lot more pace on the ball, was what I noticed straight away. And it was a lot of, well, I'd prefer to always see one-touch football, but it was more two-touch football than the four-touch football that we'd seen in the first half, and getting that ball forward quicker. And then you look at, even before the changes and then after the changes, we must have had 5 or 6 really good chances to take the lead, and never probably really felt that confident that we were going to take the lead until we made the actual changes themselves.
I disagree, Kev. I agree, but I disagree. But I never felt like we were going to take one of those chances. I felt like, what it's like ourselves. We've been there when we felt it building against Hearts. You know what it's like when it's building for Hearts. It felt like the goal was coming. I felt like we were getting closer and closer. St Johnstone had dropped deeper and deeper, and they were struggling to deal with pace and also just numbers that were getting forward.
Aye, but I just felt that every time we were trying to take shots, we were always just our plan was to hit the keeper. I never felt that we were actually really until, as I say, the change. I never really thought we actually really tested them. But then we had, and I don't know who it was. I think it could have been Kent from a corner. That was a change from my point of view. I think that was just after. Was it Rouse? It was just after we brought Lowry on. He took the corner, and it was near post. It just, to me, it looked right. We can take effectively this game by the scruff of the neck and actually do something. And I just thought that was where we started to have a wee bit more belief, and actually then started asking questions of their keeper. And that's when he then started, as I said earlier on, to probably give them a man of the match performance.
They were already 1-0 up when Rouse made that keeper make that save, no?
I don't think so. I think it was just before we scored.
Anyway. Well, you're right. I thought we started, even before the changes, I thought Hearts had started the second half much, much better. And then obviously we made the changes. We've brought Lowry on, and then Tagawa, and then we brought on Benny and Boyce, and everything, like I said, Tagawa was just everywhere. Lowry was positive, trying to get into the spaces. Boyce is everything that we know he is. Intelligent, picking up great spaces. A threat as well, like someone that you know is going to shoot, someone that you know is going to try and take a chance. And I think that, Ninehoff in the first half was in the same position as Boyce and tried to cut it back and cut inside and make a pass, etc., etc. And Devlin got to points where he was on the edge of the 18-yard box and wasn't sure what to do. And Atkinson got to the edge of the 18-yard box and didn't know. Boyce literally got the ball 25 yards out, and his first and only thought is, I'm going to try and square. Makes the keeper make a save. And it was just really positive from that minute on. Oda as well. Like I think Oda's going to be like that for us all season long. I think he's going to be in and out of the game, long spells, inactive, and then just explode into life. The 10-15 minutes before he got his goal, he was St Johnstone didn't know what to do with him. They couldn't, and the credit comes for me from Atkinson as well, because Atkinson was literally going past him every single time, constantly giving him an option so that he wasn't just 1v2, which was no happening in the first half. And as soon as you let Oda get in those spaces, it was brilliant. He had his half chance with a volley that he cut inside and hit it straight at the keeper, and then his goal. It looks a bit scrappy because it's obviously a punt. It's a turnover of the ball. It's back in by Atkinson. Couple of wee deflection, but when you actually watch the goal back, his first touch is phenomenal, and his finish, you couldn't place the ball any closer to being in off the post if you tried it. It was an unbelievable finish, wasn't it, Dan?
Absolutely. It's we all seen that tweet from Hearts today when it was put in slow-mo, and I probably didn't take it for granted. I probably took it for granted how good, like it was just a normal touch, but it was actually to move it between 2 feet, both feet there, was tremendous. I'm having a great night tonight.
You're really okay. I'm loving it.
The drink all day.
I've not touched him all weekend.
You're just shouting Uzbekistan in the chat. It's the most sense you've made, man.
Exactly. And what I also liked about Oda is he really committed when Shankland hit across the goal and he clashed with the keeper. But just pressing on that as well, I thought that he properly wanted to score there, which shows in the second goal the way he took it as well. Second goal, second chance. Oh my God, doesn't matter. Leave me out of this.
Well done. Well done, Tam. Well done. Kev, how's your ma? How's your da 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 da? Oh da. Well, I'm telling you, Kenny Vargas and Oda are my favourite Hearts players ever. They are my new Paul Hartley and Stephen Boyack, and I'm absolutely buzzing that they're in Gorga.
Did you have a good song for Boyack?
Probably had my own songs for every player that I love, and loads of songs for players that I hate, but they're all about how much I hate those players. But we'll leave them. And then after the goal, Ando,
Don't talk to me, man.
That's fine. I'm not going. After that opened the floodgates for me. I think the keeper, like I said, turned into man of the match for them. You've got the Shankland chance, cut back, keeper makes a save. Rowell's header, keeper makes a great save. Tagawa, great save. Boyce, good save. Like we started to proper put pressure on Ando after the opening goal.
Aye, I think that was to the point I made earlier on about starting the first half dead slow. We grew into the game. quite a lot, and I'm probably going to level quite a lot of cliches at you in this little interlude, but we only ever seemed to get better as the game went on. And see if I'm honest, right? Just thinking about it for a little second, there's very rarely, right, like where I can say in games where we've started slow and got better and better and better and better and continued to be good all the way up until the final kick of the ball, basically. Usually it ebbs and flows, and sometimes we have little moments or whatever, but we just continue to get better and better as the game went on. And I think if we'd played maybe another 10 or 15 minutes, it would have been a fucking 6-0 job. Like, genuinely, that's how it felt. I think it's all momentum's quite a big thing in football, and I think as long as we carry that on into the next game, then I think that's going to be massive for us. It's just that being that ability to build stronger and stronger into a game.
And Kev, something that I didn't quite pick up on the game at the time watching it live, but when I rewatched it back, Shankland sprung into life. Shankland was at the heart of almost everything positive that we did from Hearts, and it's not level criticism at Alan Forrest or whatever, but it was almost like he knew that he had people around him. He had Boyce, he had Lowry, he knew that he had Kingsley, he had Atkinson, Oda, Tagawa, all round about him, all looking to play. He was dropping deep, he was linking play, he was winning headers, he was doing that thing that Celtic do with Kyogo as well. Like, he was standing in offside positions, knowing that, well, you have to do something because there'll be about four and myself in attack here. You either try and play me offside and run the risk of them all being in behind because you can't have a high line, or you stand and mark me and play everybody on side. And it just gave them a headache. And the Lowry pass in for Boyce, and then Boyce cutting it back for Shankland was a great example. That Shankland's offside for every single part of that until we put the ball in it.
Aye, there is that, and this is not aimed at Alan Forrest at all. Please note that I got his name right that time. Is that good players play better football with other good players? And I say that's not aimed at Forrest in any way, shape, or form. But as you rightly say, when Boyce comes on, when Oda's there, and they're all playing better, Shankland also then performs better because they're all maybe on a better, maybe the wavelength that they're is a lot better. They know the kind of passes that are expected or where they, the run to be expected. And this is one thing from what you said earlier on about how Lowry's not had any form of training with the rest of his teammates at all. If you watch his pass, he is passing the ball simply into free area on the pitch, knowing perfectly well that Boyce will make that run. That's something that he's actually already picked up on through, a matter of probably only about 6 or 7 minutes where the two of them have actually been on the park at the same time. He's known that that's the run that Boyce wants to make. There's nobody in that area. I can play it into there and he'll get it first. And I probably find that Lowry will not get the credit for that because, of course, it all then goes back to the fact that Boyce plays it brilliantly, passes, over to Shankland, and Shankland knocks it into really an empty net. So from that point of view, that's where I think you might find we push forward as a team in the coming weeks and months.
Yeah, I would imagine so as well. Ando.
The bit you're saying there about Lowry, right? Just to be devil's advocate, do you not think that's because he's come from a big club who are maybe coached slightly better than us?
Yeah, it is exactly that.
100%. But again, I'll round back to Kev's original point, which I think is a good point, is that good players ask other good players questions. Alex Lowry's pass into Atkinson is in a space that he has to run into. He has to take it, and he's saying, go do something. Like, do you know what I mean? Whereas sometimes we have a tendency to play passes where we're passing backwards, where they've got acres of space. They can get back to Clark if worse comes to worse, or they can start the usual side to side along the back four because there's no pressure on it. Good players like Lowry put the ball into a space and said, "Go get it." Like that, you should be there. Like that's where you should be. So go get it. And I think Shankland thrives off stuff like that as well. And I think that's where Gino and Shankland were really good last year. Was that players like Barry Mackay and others knew, put it over the top, put it in a space. Gino will get there. Gino will get there, or Shankland will get there. That's where they want to be because that's you're spreading play. You're occupying defenders. You're going to make them do something. When everything's static and into your body and you're facing the wrong way, it gives everybody the opportunity to get back into shape, to face up, to get touch tight, and then they can press you and squeeze you and move you back to where you go, which is what Leeds did to us, right? We couldn't handle Leeds' press. We couldn't get any release. There's no ball over the top to turn like a Gino or whoever, because Forrest isn't pacey enough and it's no Shankland's game. So that's what's exciting about having Lowry there. The other thing that I loved as well with Oda on one side and Lowry on the other was that in the first half, St Johnstone were just smashing us there. They were just all in for those tackles because they knew there was no one else there. So if worst comes to worst and you get by him, Oda gets by him, there's someone in behind to get it, because again, he's only on by himself. He's going to have to get to the byline. He's going to have to pick out a brilliant pass, or he's going to have to beat another defender to get the ball in. When you're there in twos, suddenly the defender can't do that. He can't go diving in, because if you do get by him, and even if you get wiped out, they'll still got the ball. And that happened with Lowry in the second half when he was bombing down the left hand side. Somebody tried to absolutely wipe him out, but the ball ricocheted and he was there and he slid it into Boyce. It might have been actually the opportunity where the cutback for Shankland came for as well. Really positive to see us play aggressively, and it was good to see, like you said, it's no coincidence, Ando, that Lowry's came from a club that, potentially have better coaches and a more positive mindset about how to play football than what we sometimes have had and definitely had under the previous management team.
See, just on that
And then-
point, right, then it's probably a good segue, because we never really spoke about it earlier on, is that, like, how do you feel about that? Like, the Lowry from Rangers thing, because it's like, you know what, he absolutely could do a trick for us this season, but then we're going to have to hand him back at the end of the season. My fucking worry is that he's going to be a revelation, right? And then you've got, like, what's the word? What's his name? McKinley saying that, right, you know what, we should be challenging for second place, right? How do you do that if you're helping, like, guide the people that you're going after? You're helping build their players up, train them up,
Aye.
only to hand them back at the end of the season and have them be used as firepower against you. It's like, it's existentially, it just seems wrong. But you know what?
It's-
In the short term, I'm absolutely delighted to take him because I think he looks good. But
Aye, and I don't actually disagree with what we've said before. I don't know if the club should be nurturing players. If he was good enough to play for Rangers, he'd be playing for Rangers, right? Look at how bad they were yesterday. They're crying out for someone like him in that place, right?
Yeah.
So, but then I suppose there's also another part of the building towards finishing second and maybe even starting to win trophies and consistently playing in Europe and stuff. They have to be built on small foundations, right? And
Definitely.
if it means that we have to bring a guy in like Lowry and hope that he comes and does us a job, but Rangers are short-sighted enough to let him go, because that he's maybe not as an attractive player to have in the team as a Dessers or a Somers or somebody that sounds exotic and you paid thousands and millions of pounds for.
Like Vargas.
Don't you ever slate my man again. Don't you ever come for Kenny
I love
Vargas
this.
again.
He's not even had a jersey on yet, and Corbett is getting the statue built. I love
Corbett's
this.
actually heading to the Heriot Watt Hotel after this just to go and
Who
see
just
if
took
he
the
can get a
picture of him
glimpse.
at the Oriole? But I think you're right. It is a very good argument to be had. It's a very good point to be made. But I think where we're at as a club is we have to do this bit by bit, and it's going to be in an elephant type stuff. You have to do it in little sections. We have to build foundations first and foremost.
Yeah.
We had a shocker of a season last season.
Correct.
We have a shocker of a record in the League Cup and in the Scottish Cup, if we're being brutally honest. And we've been away from European competition for far too long. So if he comes in and gets us into the conference leagues and it gives us the money and we can build again for next season, then I'll take a back seat with my opinions on it. I wouldn't want to cut our nose off to spite our face.
100%. And I know I asked you the question, but that's the answer I was looking for, because I'm in exactly the same boat, which is we shouldn't just throw the shutters up and say we're not doing business with Rangers or Celtic because they're our nearest competitors and that's who we're striving to be like. Unfortunately, sometimes you do have to borrow from the dark side in order to learn the ways of the dark side. So fucking
Exactly.
all for it.
Tam, Shankland scores again. What is 39th goal for Hearts? Is that right? 29th goal. 29th goal for
29th
Hearts.
it will be, yeah. 8,000 Hearts league goal. Don't know if you've seen that today. You don't care about that, so.
I did not. But 29 goals for Hearts in a season, in a game. Pretty impressive stuff. Do you think he'll get to 50 in this season? As in total 50, not score 50 goals. He's not Erling Haaland.
Said he's to have another season, what, 22, 23? I don't. But I think we'll see a lot more goals around them this year. I know we were very reliant on Shankland and Ginelli last year. I think they scored something like 70% of our goals or something. But out of the front 5-6 options we have now, I think we'll see a lot more in double figures than we did last season.
I think that's a mental statement. I think you're right, but I think Shankland will score a bucket load. I think he'll score more goals like that on Saturday than he will penalties, because the options that we have, teams that'll try and go forward because they'll want either equalisers or to go try and score a goal, etc. And the pace, the options that we have, I think you're going to find Shankland will be tapping the ball into empty nets hundreds and hundreds this season. I think we'll be in, if we can keep him. I know I keep saying that, and that's not to be doom and gloom, but if we can keep him motivated, keep him happy, I think he'll smash it. What did we wait? How many years did we wait for somebody to get to 50 goals? It was Jamie Walker, wasn't it?
Yeah, how many would he have been over? 2 spells as well.
Probably 7 seasons or something like that, maybe more.
Aye, and it was decades, wasn't it, since the last time we heard anybody that had got to 50 Hearts goals, and if Shankland can do it in 2 seasons, it'll be absolutely unbelievable.
Don't get me wrong, I'd love to see it. So I don't know.
Of course. Just the thing with Dirk, I know we just spoke about how good their attacking players are, and I know we've highlighted Kent as well. I just wanted to talk to Kev about Atkinson, because again, I probably put him and Oda as probably the most improved players since Stephen A. Smith came in, and I thought again on Saturday, I thought it was great.
I think there's been I know we've said it a number of times that Nielsen effectively drew the life out of him, drained the life out of him, and I think that Naismith coming in has probably been a breath of fresh air for him personally, because you have seen a much more improved set of performances in the last 6 games anyway, competitive games that is, where he's actually starting to maybe look like the player that we thought he could be. So from that point of view, but we're definitely getting better performances out of him. But he's still not a right back. I don't believe that's his position. However, the overlapping that he was doing yesterday with Oda definitely showed that there is that is a position that he could play if we weren't to bring in a right back from the English Premier League, as you mentioned earlier on.
I think if we bring in a right back and he drops out, we're as well just letting him go.
Yeah,
he's been too good to bring someone in and instantly chuck him at him. I think we fall into the territory of where we've been with Robbie with him. He's done nothing to suggest that he should be replaced right this very second. Do I think that we don't need right back covered? No, I still think that we should have someone there to keep him on his toes, keep him motivated, make sure that he understands that this is the level now. He needs to stay there, especially because we had Mikey Smith there before. 7 out of 10 every single game. He needs to get to that level. Like, he needs to get consistent. But you're only going to get consistent if he gets game time, get time to settle in with the folk around about him. So I don't want to brush over how good a performance I thought Atkinson had. I thought, considering he's a guy that I'd have happily let go not too long ago, I think he's came on leaps and bounds as well. So yeah, overall,
especially in the first half as well, he was one of the only ones that was actually an attacking threat, to be fair.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. So there you go. Absolute no doom and gloom. Easy, comfortable 2-0 victory at Perth. Like I said, it's getting so boring winning there all the time. I can't remember the last time I got beat. Tam, anything decent? YouTube that we want to discuss, cover?
You've not been paying
I've done
attention,
really well.
have you?
To be fair, we kind of covered all the questions, so I want to go over them, and then just, to be honest, everyone's kind of agreeing with you, Corbett, so I'll take it for that what you will.
Well, let's move on then.
No, wait a minute. One question. Just it's right at the very end there, Tam, that you've missed from Peter Douglas, and this is something that it's a genuine question because you don't.
It's a good question, to be honest. Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Tam. So I'll do your job for you. So and only because I don't get to see it on the footage on Hearts TV, but who was more visible in the technical area yesterday? Did any of you guys pay attention to that?
I'll be honest with you, I can't see, and the three of them are bald, and they all look the exact same. They all look the exact same. Frank McAvoy looks like Sam Allardyce ordering a sausage supper. Like, he honestly doesn't look like he shouldn't be in the.
You know who he reminds me of? Jimmy Calderwood without the tan and a closer cropped hair. Right?
Mate, I would rather that we just had radio silence after the games as well, because his post-match interview was an absolute stinker, man.
I would say yesterday you've seen more of McAvoy out there directing things.
That's because UEFA are watching, Kev. UEFA are watching.
Well, could be exactly that, mate. But that might be the other reason why we've got all three of them that actually look exactly the same, so that UEFA can't tell which one's which.
Fuck it, there's hope for me. Yeah, I'll get a job.
The game, that's it.
That's it. I thought, to be fair, again, these things literally will not matter a jot if we win matches.
Yeah.
I've said that. I've said my piece on it. We've said our piece on it over the last wee while. Is if this starts to go south and we don't win matches, then these will be the questions that come up every single game. Do you know what I mean? Who's in charge? Who's on the touchline? Why was Stephen Naismith looking at the iPad? And why was McAvoy doing this? That you just got to win the matches, and no one will ask the questions.
I know, because it's always you that asks these questions only when we're getting beat. So
okay, exactly. The best way to shut me up is to win every single week. It's the easiest way to do it.
On the YouTube, Bobby McBobbin has also added in the Baldy Kitman's also there. So we're
and then boys were standing there and all, what the fuck is going on?
He's just a wee bit taller, the Kitman.
Surely Andy Halliday came back for Turkey with some vouchers. Come on.
Andy, by the way, Andy Halliday.
Or a refund because his hair's atrocious.
Right, okay, yeah. Can we make a special 2-minute segment for that? It's like something out of a horror film. That, I mean, I can't throw shade because I have not a single hair on my head. But what the fuck is that? That's not right. I've seen better dressed homeless folk than that.
Here, I've sorted it. He's better hair than Halliday. It's Alex Lowry. There we go. See, there's no need to be upset. He can fix it. He's got better hair than Halliday. It's Alex Lowry. Thank you. I am the hero all Hearts fans.
You've united the Hearts support.
That's what it needs to be. Right, the serious matter. Thursday away, Rosenborg. We've already spoke about where we're at right now, and we've touched on it. So let's just do predictions for Rosenborg and Kilmarnock. We'll go round, give your thingies, then we'll dive into everybody, the listeners' predictions for the season, and we'll get Kev's thoughts before we wrap it up. So, Tam, Rosenborg, what's your score prediction for Thursday?
I think a 1-1 Thursday, which I would take.
Cool.
Definitely.
Kev?
Yeah, I can't see far away from a 1-1 draw. Take that back to Tynecastle.
Ando?
Clean sheet, 1-0 away win.
Nice. I'm going to Desmond. I'm going 2 each. I think I can see us scoring, but I can see them scoring as well with them being at home, etc., etc. It'd have to be pretty good performance to get the clean sheet. I hope we do, but that's my prediction for that. And then the fucking game, actual game I dread more than Rosenborg, Kilmarnock at Tynecastle, opening league home fixture of the season. Kevin, Derek McInnes, Kilmarnock, what is your score prediction?
With it being the first home game of the season and going off yesterday's performance, tend to usually find we also lift our performances at home. I will continue with the 2-0 victory.
Cool. Ando?
3-0 at home. Easy.
Tam?
I think it'll be 1-0. They look better defensively
Aye.
than I've seen. Stuart Finlay in there now.
I'll go 2-0. I'll go 2-0 to Hearts. I think if we kind of take care of Kilmarnock at home, then we're in serious trouble.
I'll temper that with depends on who starts and how many players are involved on the Thursday. But I think we've got enough depth, I should say, to easily dismiss Kilmarnock. Easily.
And we've got a season's experience in it as well. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? The old Sunday Thursday stuff, and not to laugh at our friends from the other side of the city, but look, they wiped the floor comfortably with Pennycook Juniors on Thursday night, and they were back to being the Harlem Globetrotters of football. And then back to Bruce Bogtrotter of football on fucking Sunday.
Bruce
scudded at him.
There's the show name, Bruce Bogtrotter. I fucking love that.
You can do it, Bruce. But they're the two faces of shite football teams, innit? And it's difficult to balance the Thursday Sunday, as we can attest to from where we're at.
Correct.
Right, Tam. You were in charge of the Twitter and the YouTube and all the social medias. We put out the question last week to say to folk, who's our top goal scorer, who's going to be the manager, how many trophies, player of the season, etc., etc., etc. So give us the listeners, and then we'll end it with listening to Kev's crap.
Right, so we do have a lot here. So do you just want to? I don't know.
Read out your highlights. Read out if there's loads that say.
Well, they all say pretty much third or fourth. Okay. We've had one second shout from Sam Gandalf. I don't know if they're related to the Wizard or not, but second, yeah.
Might take a wizard to get there.
Oh, fuck, Kev, sure.
Right, well done, Kev. Well done.
Mixture of Naismith and a few Liam Foxes as a shout for Manager of the Year.
Mate, that will be my absolute nightmare scenario.
End your relationship with Hearts right there.
All seriousness, I'm with Corbett on that bus. I will never, ever, ever set foot in the place again except to burn it fucking down if that happens.
Top goal scorer, you could probably guess it, but most people going with Shankland. A few Tagawa shouts. Especially somebody's put in brackets if Shankland leaves, which may well be. And then player of the year, we've got a few Odas, a few Kents.
Kev, how's your ma? How's your da 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 Oda?
Yep.
What? Yeah, I'll be there in 5 minutes, love. I'm just getting rid of these arseholes on the podcast. Yeah.
I do love that. Right. And Tam, which is not me, but 1874T has said someone out of nowhere like Atkinson for Players of the Year, which
good shout.
Not a bad shout. Other than that,
boys, it's week 1. He had a good game. No, that's not happening.
He's continued it.
It's not happening. It's fucking not.
Keeping with the theme of this podcast.
At least give it a week, Ando. We've got 2 losses coming up this week.
Let's have a chat on Sunday night then. Oh, fucking hell. Atkinson, player of the season. My shite will turn purple and taste like rainbow sherbet before that happens. Fucking hell. Right, carry on.
To be fair, the cup's just vary completely with everything. So we're winning the League Cup, we're winning the Scottish Cup, we're getting to semis at each, quarterfinals, put out by Celtic. It varies pretty much. So,
right, Kev, go on then. Gears yours. Who is going to be top goal scorer, player of the
Shankland.
season, manager, and how many cups?
and finish the league.
Yeah, so I think from the point of view of finishing the league, I think we've got to look at third. In all honesty, and I think a lot of that comes down to how the European sort of games go over the next few weeks. Because if we do get group, it might then cause a bit more of an issue like it did last season. But I'm going with third. Shanks is top goal scorer. Again, it's all if you keep him. I'm going to go with player of the year being Oda. And I think it'll still. I was waiting for it.
Oh God!
I think it'll still be the McAvoy, Naismith, Forrest from a managerial point of view, because I think the club have made that decision and I think they'll stick by it, just with digging their heels in and being stupid. And in regards to League Cup, I think that we'll get to the semis, and the Scottish Cup, we're going to go to the final, but we'll lose.
Standard.
Can I just
Correct.
two things, right? Number one, Frank McAvoy is only in the dugout until we're out of Europe, right? He's not going to be there. It's not
UEFA
happening.
might be
right?
listening to this.
They might be, but that's not happening. And two, just shows you how negative this fucking podcast is, innit? Sitting joint top of the league, and you've got us finishing third. Fuck's sake, Kev, man. Never happy, man. Never happy. We've won
I'll go back and listen to last
top
week's.
of the league.
Could I
I'll
ask
go
you,
back and
boys?
listen to last week to find out what you went for, Corbett.
Well, that's what I want to say. Does your predictions change since last week?
No, that's not how the game works. You've got to be a big boy. It's the internet. We've put it out there. If you make a dickhead, you own it.
Well, Ando said what, 6th or 7th, was it? So
He's bottom 6. He has to deal with it. I said would be 4th. That's how it falls. Kev gets to ride in a day into the season, having seen us win, and say 3rd, and he can look Billy Big Bollocks at the end of next year if he's right.
Boys. Let's be honest. This is horses for courses, right? We've all been here before, right?
Yes, we have.
We have all started the season on a good victory against a meagre opposition, and then the shithouse has collapsed around us. There's still plenty of time.
Levine
Man.
won like 11 games in a row or something stupid.
Yeah, well, this is true, but there's 37 games for us to make an absolute royal dick of it, and I'm still convinced we will.
Well, the good news is there's one game gone and Hibs never won it. So get it right up them, get it up yours, and I'll see you next week.
Mic drop.
Tam, is there anything before we go on YouTube?
It's actually just laughing about Hibs, to be honest. At this point,
Fantastic.
they're talking
The way
each
it should be.
other. So, yeah.
What we're here for.
Exactly. Right, boys. We'll either have an unbelievably positive and great Sunday podcast next week. The way it should be. I'll see you all later. All right.
See you after.
Catch you later.
Thanks to everybody on YouTube as well. Thanks for getting in touch. We'll all see you next week.
Cheerio.
Gorgaro.